D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds, and welcome to my week in review, where I come to you every Sunday with 3 entertainment stories that I personally find interesting, and then we discuss them down below. Now, also down below, you can find the articles that I read to bring you this video, and you can either read them for yourself, or you can just watch this video, and I'm going to break them all down for you. Now, I also want to say that if you like what I do here, and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we just keep getting shoved to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. Alright, so now that we got that business out of the way, why don't we go ahead and get started on these 3 stories. So for my first story this week, it looks like we've got another addition to the James Gunn Superman movie. And it looks like we got it in the in Beck, Bennett, who is on Saturday Night Live. So now the question is, who is Beck Bennett playing? Well, he is going to be playing the Daily Planet's Steve Lombard. Now, who is Steve Lombard? He's just a reporter at the Daily Planet. I believe he does sports or whatever, but he's this big, like, macho guy. And Cat Grant is usually, like, trying to, like, you know, sleep with him or whatnot and all that stuff. But Beck Bennett is playing this. Now, what do I think about this? First off, I like Beck Bennett. I really do. I think he's a decent actor on SNL. You know, SNL's not the best these days, but I do like Beck Bennett. However, I don't think that this part is really big enough to be all like, ooh, yay, Beck Bennett's in Superman and everything. I'm pretty sure he'll have a pretty small role, if you ask me. It won't be too big. He'll be in there, maybe we'll say like, tops 10 minutes and everything, which is fine. It's totally fine. Maybe he'll be in the next movie, the Supergirl movie, which I think is right after the Superman movie. And how I feel about them bringing in Steve Lombard is I just don't care, because Steve Lombard is a really small, like, you know, I mean, when you think of the Daily Planet, you don't go, oh, I wonder if Steve Lombard's there and everything. So I think and they have cast Cat Grant in there, so I think that it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see the dynamic of the Daily Planet. One thing I do like journalism when it's done correctly, and it's not these crazy hires they do these days where people are journalists and you're like, yeah, but you really didn't do any research. You just looked on Wikipedia for your research. Like, come on, honey. But I hope that I always liked that kind of thing that they did in the comic books with Lois Lane, how she would try to figure out a story. You know, it was kind of like a mystery almost, and I hope that they do a little bit of that with this movie. But as far as Beck Bennett goes, I know some people may think that this isn't prestige casting, but I mean, like, it's Steve Lombard. Most people don't know who that is. And he's like this redheaded dude, and he's like usually got like a porn mustache, and he's like big and buff and burly and stuff. And he's literally usually, whenever I read anything and he's in there for like maybe 1 or 2 pages. So, you know, he's not like a huge character. And if he is, it was in the past or it's in a comic book that I haven't read. Now, as I was saying, some people they may not think that Beck Bennett is prestige casting, but at this point in time, unless it's a huge main character, I don't think we need to be casting like these like crazy great actors. Like, who are you going to get for this role that would be prestige? Like what, Brad Pitt? Get the hell out of here. This is fine. With all these little roles, you can cast people like Beck Bennett from SNL. I'm totally fine with that. And we'll see how this turns out. But so far, like I said, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I trust James Gunn. I like James Gunn's writing. I always have. I pretty much like everything that he's either written or produced. So I trust him with this, and I think that he will pull out a good movie. You know, I liked his Suicide Squad movie. I liked all of his Guardians of the Galaxy movies. You know, and I liked that one little kid. What was that called? Like Unbreakable or something like that? I can't remember. Please don't yell at me. But it was that little kid that was basically just Superman, just a little kid, but an evil Superman. That movie, I liked that movie, but I think he just produced that one. I don't even think he wrote that one. Did you know? I don't know if you knew this, but did you know he wrote Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, which I thought was pretty good. You know, it's not my favorite of all time, but I thought it was pretty good. So yeah, I've always, except for his trauma stuff, but I've never seen his trauma stuff, so I can't talk about that because I've never seen it before. But I do like, I like Beck Bennett and I like James Gunn, so I do trust this casting, and I trust James Gunn. All right, you guys. Well, that was my first story of the week. So for my second story of the week. All right, you guys. So it looks like we've got another Hunger Games book on our way, and it's called Sunrise on the Reaping. Now, what's this one about? Let me pull up this story. Now, you can't really see it right here from this article, but you see Haymitch there, played by Woody Harrelson. There he is. And so this movie is about the second quarter quell. And that is the one where Haymitch, who Woody Harrelson played, his character won the second quarter quell. And that's what this book is all about, because, you know, they need this IP. They got this. They got that. This is from Vanity Fair, by the way. I'm not going to read this article. I'm just going to talk to you about it because I find it very interesting. Okay, so they need this IP, right? They need the Hunger Games because everybody loves the Hunger Games. Even I love being in this Hunger Games world. But the problem that I have with this, okay, is that we know where it ends. Okay, so at 16, so at 16, Haymitch won the 50th Hunger Games, which was the second quarter quell, and he won it through strategy and tough intelligence, and he faced, a lot of consequences and stuff for his actions, because in the book, the third book, I believe, he explains how he won the second quarter quell. And the second quarter quell is every 50 years of the Hunger Games, they have a special, and for the second quarter quell, I believe they chose two from each. They chose 2 boys and 2 girls from each district because it was the second quarter quell. So you need double the fun, double the killing. And so Haymitch won. And how he won was he walked to the, and I'm spoiling it, by the way. I'm spoiling the movie and everything, but he walked to the edge of the perimeter, and we saw that in the second movie. It was also in the book, but you get to the edge of the arena. You can't leave the arena and everything. And it was a cliff, okay? And he threw something. He kicks a stone off the cliff, and the stone comes back at him. Well, then he's got to face this big, burly girl from District 1, and she's got an axe, right? And he's losing, right? I believe he said something like his eye has come out of his socket or whatnot because he has just been beat the shit out of, right? And then he walks over to the cliff and everything, and the girl throws the axe that she has at him, and he ducks, and it goes over the cliff. And then as she's coming at him, it comes right back at her and hits her right in the head, and she dies. And because of that, because he uses the game maker's arena against them, Snow is pissed off, and they have to punish Haymitch for winning by killing his loved ones, which is his brother. I believe he has a brother that he kills, and then his best friend, I think, and then also his girlfriend. And that leads him to struggle with PTSD and alcoholism, which he does struggle. Now, in the upcoming prequel, let me pull back up that cover. This won't be the prequel, but this is just what they put out there and everything. This one will explore Haymitch's backstory and everything, and finally shed some light on his Hunger Games victory, which I just think that'll be fun to see all the mayhem and murder. But I think that, is this a good idea? I mean, it's a good idea in terms of, like, they'll get, people to come. I'll go see it. That last one, if the book is good. The last one, Songbird and Snakes, I read the book. I did not like the book. I thought the book sucked. So I was like, I'm not going to go see this movie. Like, there's no way I'm going to go in the theaters. I did see it when it went on, when I was able to rent it. I did rent it. But I just was like, I'm not gonna go to the theater to see this movie. And it didn't make that much money comparative. I think still the best movie out of all of them was that second movie. And I have to argue it's probably my favorite book. I just think that it's like, that was the third quarter quell. And I was like, me personally, when reading that book, I was like, how are they going to have another be inside the arena for another Hunger Games? And Suzanne Collins pulled it out and everything. I was like, this is good. The third book was not so great. That's my least favorite one, if you ask me. But this one, okay, so this is coming out in 2025. It says March 18, 2025, which I'm like, okay, cool. I will definitely be buying it and reading it. And then the movie is supposed to come out in 2026. So we'll see how this turns out. But I'm curious as to see who they'll cast as a young Haymitch. I definitely think they need to cast somebody that looks like Woody Harrelson. And then I'm also curious to see who they cast as a younger President Snow, but older than they did in the Songbird and Snakes. I personally, again, I didn't like that book and I didn't like that movie. I mean, the movie was probably a little bit better than the book just because they showed the Hunger Games a little bit more. You got to see it through the perspective of the gray girl and see her kill some people and all that stuff. But yeah. We'll see how this turns out, but I'm not going to hold my breath for it because that last book, in my opinion, was just shit. You know what I'm saying? Right, you guys. So that was my second story of the week. So for my third and final story of the week. All right, you guys. So I did this story a little while ago about how Michelle Yeoh was going to be the lead. She was going to be in a movie called Blade Runner 2099. And now we've got another casting, and that's Hunter Schafer has been reported to be the lead in this movie. Now, I'm going to bring up this article right here, and this is from The World of Real. And I'm not going to read the whole article, but I do want to read a couple of things from the article. The first thing I want to read is who she's been cast as. So, she has been cast in the lead role as Cora. Now, I don't know who Cora is, but we're going to read, we're going to read the plot synopsis because they leaked a little bit of that or whatnot, or somebody said something, I can't remember from this article, but you go read it and you can find out and stuff. But we'll read the plot for it a little bit. But they do mention one thing that I want to mention and that is that Hunter Schafer is the lead in this movie called Cuckoo. And it is a movie, and a horror movie, and I think it looks fantastic, if you ask me. And it looks really good. It looks really, really good. Okay, so now let me read the plot synopsis for this, and then I'll tell you my thoughts. It says, in Los Angeles 2099, Cora Schafer lived her entire life on the run, a chameleon forced to adapt numerous identities. To secure a stable future for her brother, she assumes one final identity and is forced to partner with Olwen, which is Yeoh, a Blade Runner who's confronting the end of her life. The two are pulled into a widening conspiracy that poses an existential threat to a city that's fighting to be reborn. And I think that okay, so here's the thing I feel about all of this. All right, I'm going to talk about the plot first, and then I'll talk about Hunter Schafer, okay? So first off, the plot. I think the plot sounds all right. I am not a fan of Blade Runner or Blade Runner 2049. I didn't like the first movie. I didn't watch that movie. I haven't watched it for a really long time. I think the last time I watched it, I think I was like 12 or 13, and I didn't like it. I was just like, I don't really like it. So I should probably go back and watch it, but there's like 50 million versions of that shit. And I'm all like, I don't know if I want to go watch 40 versions of one movie. Like, I just want to watch one version, probably the theatrical version, and then that's it. Now, as far as the 2049 movie, I thought that movie sucked balls. Like, I watched that movie and I was like, God damn, what a waste of time. This movie sucks dick. I did not like that movie at all. So, I'll be a little bit hesitant to watch this in terms of the Blade Runner. Now, as far as Hunter Schafer goes, I like Hunter Schafer. I think that a lot of people might have a problem with Hunter Schafer's casting because they are trans, but I don't think that just because you're trans doesn't mean you shouldn't get work. So I do like Hunter Schafer. I think that Hunter Schafer is a very good actor. I think that, I think Michelle Yeoh is a good actor. So I love Michelle Yeoh. I love her. So we'll see how Hunter Schafer's character, how it turns out and everything. But I won't say I'm excited for this because I'm not excited for this. But I will say that good for Hunter Schafer getting that work because I do like Hunter Schafer and I do think that she's very talented. But in terms of this show goes, I'm not excited about this show. I just don't like maybe I just don't like the Blade Runner world. It's not my cup of tea. But at the same time, if I see a trailer and it looks interesting, I might watch it. I watched that at 2049 and I hated it. So we'll see. I'm just happy that she's getting the work. You know what I'm saying? All right, you guys. So those are my 3 stories of the week. Tell me, what do you guys think about all of this? How do you feel about Beck Bennett getting the role of Steve Lombard in the Superman movie? Do you think this is good casting because it's a smaller role, or do you think this is bad casting? Are you somebody that just doesn't like Beck Bennett? I don't think Beck Bennett's like a huge Oscar winner or anything like that, but I do think he's at least talented enough to play Steve Lombard, know, a Daily Prophet, the Daily Planet's, a reporter or whatnot. I think that that's decent enough, Like I said, it'll be as long as a Saturday Night Live sketch, in my opinion. He'll be in there maybe at the end when the bad guys are destroying the planet. He'll be like, huh, what's going on, kind of thing. But I do think this is decent casting, and I have no problem with it. Also, tell me, how do you guys feel about this Sunrise on the Reaping, The Hunger Games, this new book/movie? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is just, the studio, what is it, Universal, trying to, get some more money out of this IP? Do you think that Suzanne Collins is just trying to get more money out of this IP? Do you think this story is going to be? I think this story is going to be at least decent, because even though we already know where it's going to end, at least I know where it's going to end, at least from a broader perspective of it, from that book where Haymitch tells a story. I still am excited to see what goes down, especially the movie. I think the movie's going to be super stellar, because we'll get to see some kids kill each other. I always say, Rue would not have survived with me. I would have fed her some berries. I'm like, here, Rue, have some berries, Or like, been friends, and I'd be like, you know what I'm saying? I would have been brutal in the Hunger Games, you know what I'm saying? But we'll see how this turns out. I think this will be better than that last book. I thought that last book sucked. And, tell me if you guys liked it, though. And then finally, tell me, how do you guys feel about Hunter Schafer getting the lead role in this Blade Runner 2099 TV show? It's going to be a limited series and everything. How do you feel about the plot? Do you think the plot sounds good? Is this a world that you want to be into, or is this something that you're not going to watch? It'll be interesting to see what you guys think about it. And that's all I got for you guys. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week on my Week in Review. You guys have a good week. Bye.
Hey nerds, if you like this video, go ahead and click that Geek What icon and subscribe. And if you like this video, go ahead and join me every Sunday with my Week in Review.